Hello, BookTube. Sorry for the crepuscular light. I am once again making this video as the sun is beginning to slide down to sleep in the west. And once again, the reason why I'm doing that in the end of a long and beautiful summer day when I had plenty of time to film was that it just never came up. I had a few errands to run, but aside from that, it was mainly that the day, the morning, the afternoon was just so beautiful over on my couch that Frida and I just enjoyed it. And once again, this video is late and will therefore be posted late. I'm assuming that most of you are getting notice of these videos or seeing them in your feed at 11 or midnight and aren't watching them until the next day. I'm assuming that almost all of you are on a day delay for this channel. But I didn't want this to go by. I want to make a couple of videos. The first one of which, of course, is the first mail of the week. It's just 3 packages. It's a Monday after a long holiday weekend, so I wasn't expecting to be bombarded. And they're all thin. There are no boxes, so we'll just see what we have. It's just a nice, quiet way to start the week. Okay, this first one is a September book by Daniel Schwartz called Ghetto, The History of a Word. Let's see here. Within the modern Jewish experience, few words have been as ideologically charged as the term ghetto. Until 1800, the straightforward example of the term was a compulsory, segregated, and enclosed Jewish quarter of an Italian city, such as Venice in the Papal States. However, in the Papal States. However, in the course of the 19th century, as Jewish emancipation and assimilation swept through Europe and early ghettos disappeared, the term took on a new prominence as Jewish thinkers, writers, and social observers struggled and argued over the term's usage and its place in the meaning of Jewish history. In this book, the author traces the word ghetto from its earliest references to the Jews of 16th century Venice to today. Most people viewed the ghetto as pre-modern Judaism, the antithesis of modernity, and a place to be obliterated. However, some found advantage in the enforced enclosure as breeding communality and respect for traditions in the face of hostility. I don't know if you can tell from the enormous amount of primary schools struggling, sounding out the words difficulty that I'm having with this pub sheet. I have not been reading in English all day. I don't know if you can tell that. As I've demonstrated on this channel, I do know how to read English at sight, but I'm going to stop. That's enough practice for now. We'll hope for better with the next package. But this this is due in September, and it is just it's not just the history of a word; it's the history of the thing itself. I know some of that. I know some of the way stations this book will have, but I don't know all of them, so I won't get to this right away. But it'll be waiting for me in September. So let's see what this next one is. We'll try for better. We'll try for a better job in the simple act of reading. So let's see. Oh my. Okay. All right. Okay. What is this? This is an advanced copy of a Deborah Levy novel. The author of Hot Milk, that was the darling of the Booker Prize for a while there. Okay, so this is her new book. This is going to be a $30 hardcover coming out in mid-October. This is The Man Who Saw Everything. That is the U.S. cover. The Man Who Saw Everything. An electrifying and audacious novel about beauty, envy, and carelessness. Okay. It is 1988, once again. Once again, a contemporary novelist intentionally setting a novel before the internet, before cell phones. And once again, my strong suspicion, since I don't think 1988 has any specific mystical significance for Deborah Levy or any of the other, 3 dozen authors we've seen so far in 2019 who are doing this? Since I don't think these years have any mystical significance for them, I have to suspect that the reason why so many authors are doing this is the reason that I brought up, which is not very complimentary to them, which is to simplify things. But oh my God, if I've got the internet and cell phones, if my characters can not only communicate instantaneously, but verify any assertion instantaneously, then there's no way to write a novel if that's the case. That would be very bad. If that's true. But I'm gonna give these authors the benefit of the doubt until I read a long, boring essay about it in Commentary or the New York Review of Books. But that's my suspicion. Mark it in your books now. You heard it here first. That's my suspicion, that a lot of these authors, young and old, are setting their books in the 1980s and the 1970s, not because they're in love with the era or fascinated with historical fiction, but because they don't want to deal with the complications of the internet world. But anyway, it is 1988, and Saul Adler, the narcissistic young historian, has been invited to communist East Berlin to do research. In exchange, he must publish a favorable essay about the German Democratic Republic. As a gift for his translator's sister, a Beatles fanatic who will be his host, Saul's girlfriend will shoot a photograph of him standing in the crosswalk on Abbey Road, an homage to the famous album cover. As he waits for her to arrive, he is grazed by an oncoming car, which changes the trajectory of his life. But that's like a Jenga stack of 6 different coincidences. The Man Who Saw Everything is about the difficulty of seeing ourselves and others clearly. Okay, all right, what novel isn't about that? It greets the specters that come back to haunt old and new love, previous and current incarnations of Europe, conscious and unconscious transgressions, and real and imagined betrayals, while investigating the cyclic nature of history and its reinvention by people in power. Does it indeed? Does it do all of that? Does it really? Okay, all right. Maybe it ate its Wheaties. So this comes out, did I mention that already? This comes out in mid-October. The Man Who Saw Everything. Of course, it will get... here's her publicity tour. 3 stops in New York, 1 in New Mexico, and 1 in Austin. Of course, this book will get noticed everywhere. Now that will never not happen. This will get reviewed in the New York Times Book Review. It will get reviewed everywhere else, the Washington Post, the Chicago Tribune, all of that. That I suspect, I could be wrong about that, but I suspect she has now become a novelist that no book section editor is going to feel comfortable ignoring. And I'm not saying that she should be ignored. We shall see. I will test the book for myself, but I bloody won't do it this summer. That's for sure. And then we have this last package. We have one more package, and then we're done. A small mail haul, so this is not going to be a 40-minute video. I know that grieves some of you. Wow. Okay, this will not open. Our last package will not open. Let's cut it open. Naturally, immediately comes to mind my informal rule of thumb that the harder it is to get at a book, the less it warrants the effort. But let's see. Let's not hold that against us, whatever it is. Okay. Okay, this is small press, I think. Yes, SFK press. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what that is. They must be very small. But it's an advanced copy of a book called Swapping Purples for Yellows. I'm going to be charitable and say that the author's name is Matthew Duffus. It's awful cruel. The schoolyard bully inside me is not wanting to pronounce it that way, but I'm going to say Duffus for the record. Let's see here. In the summer of 2015, Southern Fried Karma, that's SFK, Southern Fried Karma, and SFK Press was founded with the objective of cultivating diverse voices of the South, with artistic expressions as dynamic as our own people. From the beginning, we've sought fearless authors, disruptive stories, and characters as rich as our own communities. Okay. Over the past 4 years, we've represented SFK Press at literary festivals, writing conferences, and bookstore events, spreading our mission to tell a million tales of... This is their motto, I guess, or somebody's motto. A million tales of y'all means all. I've been inspired by the generous response from our supporters. We're excited about the release of Swapping Purples for Yellows by Matthew Duffus. Like all the books we've published, Matthew's spirited novel will alter your view of the world and entertain at the same time. Okay, great. What's it about? Okay, Amazon purchases or Amazon reviews would help it a lot if one of you has downloaded this thing or is going to read it. Make sure to leave an Amazon review. That actually makes perfect sense for an unknown author and a very small press. You definitely want to spread the word. Don't hide your light under a bushel for this or any other small press book. If you read something like that and you like it, make sure to spread the word. Let's see here. Of course, posting a review isn't the only way to help. Talking about the book on social media, writing about it on a personal blog, attending an author event, God help us, liking or sharing SFK's promotional posts, and simply recommending it to a friend are all effective ways to help swapping purples for yellows gain an audience. Okay. Well, I don't want to help the book until I read it. I don't know if it warrants an audience. It might be terrible. But I guess it's kind of strange. I mean, I would understand if this letter were addressed to the general public, like, for instance, if it was posted on SFK Press's website. But as a letter sent to a critic, it's kind of odd. I have no desire to be part of this book's publicity campaign, and I have no predetermined inclination to like it. That all depends on the book itself, about which we know nothing. So let's... okay, the back tells us what this... let's see here. For Professor Rob Sutherland, Homecoming Weekend is challenging enough on its own. Combined with Halloween, reunion events, and the return of a major donor, it's almost too much to bear. While Rob and his colleagues endure alumni and presidential receptions, a losing football game, and the unveiling of the donor's gift, his wife contemplates a life separate from her family, and their high school-age daughter finds herself entangled with several of her father's students. Over the course of 3 days, the family is forced to confront the secrets they keep from one another and the flaws they deny even to themselves. Okay. So the author is... he lives in North Carolina, where he teaches and directs the Writing Center at Gardner-Webb University. Any of you know that? Any of you know Gardner-Webb? And he is the author of a forthcoming short story collection, as well as this novel. So I'm thinking that it's at least on the surface a campus novel. But great. Okay, fine. That actually does sound interesting, and I also like the... I'm a fan of the gambit of that tightened time frame. Events taking place over the course of a day or 2 days, or in this case 3 days. I like that too. If the author can pull it off, it's trickier than you might think. It might be tempting to you when you're thinking about a novel. You might think, oh boy, the easiest choice that I can make here is to make this whole thing last only 3 days, because that will force me to compress the action. But actually, once you start to do it, once you try to do it, you realize that it's a tough choice to make. It does compress the action, but it's only once you're well into it that you realize how much you need the action to be sprawling all over the place. So we'll see. We'll see how well Matthew Duffus does with that. Swapping purples for yellows. I don't remember. Did this say when this thing comes out? The copyright information says that it is 2019, but I don't know if it's out already or not. I guess it doesn't. Oh no, here it is. Okay, this is the first week of August. This book comes out. I was going to say, I guess it doesn't really matter. With a smaller press, it doesn't really matter. But okay, great. All right, so so I'm gathering if this author lives in North Carolina where he teaches, and he has a forthcoming short story collection, then I can assume this is his debut novel. We shall see. I love those. And I as I've mentioned on this channel a few times, little presses like this, presses that you've never heard of, obviously you're not going to see this book in your bookstore, stacked, 8 copies deep on your front table, although those front tables will have stacked 8 copies deep many, many very bad books. You won't see this one there at all, I'd be willing to bet. And that becomes a nightmare for a voracious reader. All of us have to wonder, what if this is really good? What if this, I will let you know, I will read it and report back, but what if this is terrific? You heard about it because you're watching this video. I heard about it because the publisher sent it to me. But what about normal people, just ordinary people who don't, those poor benighted people who don't know that BookTube exists and who are just wandering into a bookstore? Maybe they want Southern fiction, modern Southern fiction, American Southern fiction, has an extremely long and incredible pedigree. Some gigantic masterpieces have come out of American Southern literature. And well, what if somebody wants that, or what if they want a campus novel, or both? Well, here you go. And they're not going to know it exists. So we need to do something about that. We need to think up a way to fix that problem. It is the only obstacle remaining to authors like Matthew Duffus. The only obstacle remaining to him, to have his fate as a writer entirely in his own hands and never to worry or doubt that choice, is that element. All the other elements are the same. They have leveled out. I'm not myself a big fan of the design of this paperback, but the hardcover might look different. And either way, the design is a minor thing. It's minor in a way. I mean, you look at these two things, you know which came out from a major house and which one didn't. But that's fixable. If you are a beginning indie author and you make the decision to just throw money at that problem, you will fix it. As I'm sure you know. I mean, if you only have to glance at, go to Amazon or Kobo or wherever and look at the lists of the best-selling indie authors. The best-selling, or for instance, go to Amazon Select or whatever. They're a program that just floods you with indie ebooks. Look at the cover designs for some of those. They are every bit as good as this. Every bit as good. So that element is gone. The profit sharing is much better. The ability to reach and shape and retain a loyal audience of readers is just the same. Everybody reads all the time now. Everybody reads on devices now. One of the only things that's missing is distribution. The huge distribution network, the ins with Ingram and Baker and Taylor, the ability to get that stack of books on your front bookstore. This author does not have that. So if he wrote a great book, I mean, I'll let you know. I'll read this and find out. But if he wrote a great book, only a tiny fraction of the people who see this book are ever going to hear about this book. And that's something we need to fix. That is something we need to fix. Authors should not be suffering for that. But anyway, that is our first mail haul of the week. That's a Sunday, a nice bright Sunday, and I'm assuming that the numbers on the books will go up as the week goes on. I'm assuming that the numbers will go up. So we'll reconvene for more mail tomorrow, and hopefully we'll have a nice plump 5 or 8 packages. And in the meantime, I will see you later. Thank you, BookTube.